The defining trait of Wilson above all others is his insanity, or rather, what others perceive to be insanity. His extroversion usually depends on how he feels in the moment and can change monumentally at any passing moment. His cheerfulness is usually temporary, as he's often dragged into things he'd rather not do, or being forced to make tough choices. His excitement-seeking levels are extremely high, as he often looks for thrills and takes unnecessary risks daily, though the latter can be due to his inability to stay dead, an effect from his cellular regeneration. Wilson's assertiveness is shown in many comics when he has team-ups with many of his favorite heroes, and this also factors into his gregariousness as he loves being in their company. Wilson can be very friendly to those he really cares for, and will remain a good friend, even if it does not come across that way.
I would not like the heroes at all. Some would say, under arrest.
Towards his enemies, however, he is very hostile, and this can often be lethal when he's feeling extremely irritated or exasperated. Wilson cannot be trustworthy, however, when it comes to small things such as debts or setting up parties. When it comes to situations as dire as saving large amounts of people, Wilson will do what he can to help, also feeding his altruism. His morality is all over the place, as he only deals with absolutes. His cooperation when helping others is minimal, as he often wants to do things his way, the Daddy DP way, and will often enjoy himself more when doing so. Wilson's sympathy for those he cares about allows him the cause of many choices he makes, even if the decision is debatably ludicrous. An example would be when he made a deal with a supervillain named Strife to cure his daughter from a rare disease.
Yeah, looking back, that was not a very great decision, but I'd still make it again. Because although you guys don't think I'm all that smart, let's be honest. You would have done the same thing for family and friends, right? Yeesh.
Modesty, however, is not something Wilson has been shown to have, as he makes it well known that he is among the most superior and takes pride in being thought of as one of the most formidable people on the planet. Wilson's artistic interest and imagination can rarely be distinguished from one another, as his imagination is often random and vividly wild. These often lead him to go seeking adventure and go on seemingly impossible missions to match his imagined world to the real world which he lives in. Wilson's intellect isn't advantageous when he's trying to solve riddles, puzzles, or brain teasers. That would be this guy. But has incredible intellect in the arts of marksmanship, martial arts, swordsmanship, and acrobatic skills. Wilson has little control over his conscientiousness, as he's repeatedly done various questionable things for his own amusement. Because of his own healing factor and his personal belief he is invincible, Wilson does not tend to be cautious and is rather careless when entering dangerous situations. He also tends to get off track when on serious missions, and while he will eventually complete the missions, he won't take the easiest path to do so. This is evidence of self-discipline, and he cares about completing missions in his own way, rather than simply following a plan. He strives to achieve excellence on his own. Wilson always believes he'll be able to accomplish any mercenary job he's given. An example of self-efficacy being when he believed he would easily be able to beat the one and only god of thunder, Thor. However, even as a homicidal maniac, as many call him, Wilson is still imbued with the sense of dutifulness, as he was first a soldier in the Canadian Army. When learning about the existence of his daughter, he took on his paternal instinct and took on his fatherly duties for her. Wilson's orderliness isn't a duty he takes entirely seriously, as his apartment has been compared to a junk drawer, and as Iron Man once stated, as ugly as his scarred face. Neuroticism is a big problem with Wilson, as he has had many villains and terrorist organizations out to cause emotional distress. The two greatest villains to do this, one being T-Ray and Madcap. The former revealing to Wilson the monster he really is, and the latter being the villain that infected his daughter with a rare disease that nearly killed her. Situations like these raise his anxiety levels and often lead him to paranoia. And that paranoia leads to anger. He is comparable to a dog let off its chain, as he will attack with a fit of rage that few others match, an anger that is heightened the more pain he's in. He does throw in occasional jokes in the midst of battle, but his anger is no less scary. Fictional soldier from the future Nathaniel Summers Cable argues that Wilson is scarier when he's quieter. He says this is when you can tell when Wilson is driven so far off the edge, it's next to impossible to calm him back down. Depression is a recurring theme towards the end of Gerry Duggan's run with Deadpool, as he delves deeper into what it was that makes Wilson intentionally make the harder choices that will undoubtedly either lose him fame or money. When he made the deal with Strife to save his daughter, he promised he'd kill 4 people for him. Despite how this would lose him the popularity and the money he'd worked hard for at that time, he still held up his end of the bargain. During this time, his depression took the driver's seat as he was doing these unspeakable acts, as he began believing once again that this was simply who he was, and that regardless of how hard he could try to be better, he'd always be drawn back into the life of an assassin. At this time, many saw him as a monster, even his superhero friend. But he stopped this from affecting his self-consciousness, as he'd continually remind himself that what he was doing, in defiance of how horrible it was, he was doing for family. Helping and protecting those he really cares for adds to his moderation, as this is most important to him because deep down, even if he won't admit it, it gives him someone to love and a purpose.
Yeah, I told that to him. We're done.
As he has people that he cares for, many often use this to exploit his vulnerability, and when they do, Wilson will feel powerless and stressed. During his moments of vulnerability, Wilson can be seen either anxiously pursuing a way to remedy the situation at hand, or hang out at a bar with his pals Matthew Murdock or Logan. Wilson's self-esteem depends on what kind of situation he's in, supporting the theory of reciprocal determinism. When he was the most famous Avenger for saving the president, in reality he was another mercenary that was just dressed as Deadpool, Wilson felt like the greatest man there ever was. This also created a feel-good, do-good phase when he funded the Avengers and even started his own team, the Mercs for Money. When he was disgraced for killing Agent Phil Coulson from S.H.I.E.L.D. for Captain America, who was secretly Hydra at the time, Wilson would act more belligerent and hostile towards anyone he came across. Spotlight effect occurs with Wilson quite often, as he often believes all attention is on him. But unlike many, he wants all attention on him, at least when he's feeling cordial. Wilson, would you like to add to the... Alrighty then. As stated before in the last video, a few believe Wilson is only playing the fool, and this is very true. Wilson tends to try and find the easiest way to come off as both stupid and crazy. By acting stupid, not many people will be expecting much from him, surprising them later on by doing something relatively easy by his standards. By acting crazy, this helps keep others disoriented, and can help him gain the upper hand in both arguments and in battle. You didn't think he was talking just to talk, did you? Albert Bandura would argue that what inspired Wilson to try and make his way to the top as an enhanced individual, he's actually a mutate, not a mutant, is his constant devotion and admiration of the superhero community he grew up praising. Wilson's childhood hero was Captain America, a personal link that was strengthened by Wilson joining a superhero soldier program of his own. Once Wilson made a name for himself as a madcap mercenary turned hero, Steve Rogers became one of the few Marvel characters who treated Deadpool with empathy and acceptance. Superhero examples such as Steve Rogers inspired Wilson to be better. After being accused by Wolverine that Deadpool is only in it for the money, it was revealed by Archangel that Wilson has never cashed in a single check he has earned as a mercenary. Because of his ability to regenerate, growing back entire limbs, and his ability to sometimes read his own comic, often remembering the recap, his belief that he can accomplish any task is constant throughout his comics and in his 2 existing movies. Just watch him fight Cable in the jail scene. This theory is proven as 2 other Deadpools from alternate worlds have killed the entire Marvel Universe, able to take down the likes of the Fantastic Four, Avengers, X-Men, Wolverine included, Doctor Strange, and even celestial beings such as Galactus, Thanos, and Silver Surfer, and even the comic writers themselves. This means Wilson has a lot of self-efficacy, And though he has died many times, 69 in total, Wilson always returns, and he knows this. The greatest accomplishment, in my opinion, is coming back from this. Wade Winston Wilson, aka Deadpool, aka the Merc with the Mouth, aka Regenerate Degenerate, aka Mithras, aka Zenpool, aka Wildcard, aka Weapon 11, aka Master of Glib, aka Deliverer of One-Liners, aka Shogun of Sarcasm, aka Ryan Reynolds crossed with a Sharpay, as he said in 2004 before Reynolds himself would take on the role 5 years later, has been my favorite character for over a decade, but not for the simple reasons you'd expect. If it were simply about being a hero, I'd be more of a Spidey fan. But then again, I was the guy that loved Green Goblin and feared Spider-Man when I saw the movie. Don't blame me, I was 2 years old. My reason for liking the character of Deadpool is because of his personality. When I first read his comics, I could identify with the idea of wanting to be accepted by others, but not change who I am. Why should I change myself to the pleasure of others and not stay true to who I am? Wilson showed me the possibility of accepting myself and not caring what others thought. He had accomplished self-actualization without truly feeling a sense of belongingness, and this was baffling to me, but also somewhat inspirational. For these reasons alone, I will continue to read and follow the Deadpool series, despite Scotty Young bringing Wilson back to the LOL memes personality, and continue to stay true to who I am because the opinions of others have affected many young adults and their self-actualization, but I refuse to let paltry opinions dictate who I am. In the words of Willem Dafoe's Green Goblin, we are who we choose to be.